This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go. Welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast. It is great to be here with you. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And man, today's guest is Morgan Allison, a powerhouse in the world of commercial real estate. From closing big deals to navigating the ever-changing market, he brings expert insight that in real-world experience that you just don't want to miss. But before we get connected with Morgan, got to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. First up, we've got Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC. So if you're looking for that craniosacral or lymphatic drainage, that manual lymphatic drainage, Bobby is phenomenal. She's the best. I go see her every single month. You will not regret it if you do this. And then we've got Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services. Andrew is the man. If you need any automations, if you're worried about maybe you're missing out on something on your business, he can help you streamline your business. Hit him up. Phenomenal guy. You will not regret it. And then if you're looking to kind of diversify some of your 401k stuff like that in your investments, hit up Wayne with 7K Metals. Gold and silver is the name of his game. You won't regret it. Call Wayne. And if you're looking for something to get something embroidered, like this wonderful Coach Clark shirt that I have here, the Coach A. Clark company. Hit up Chris and Jess from C&J Embroidery. They do a phenomenal job. They're great to work with. And then we've got Joseph with Landscape King. Do I need to say more? He is the king of landscape. You got to hit him up. Look, if you've got an outdoor area or your yard, anything that is not up to par, hit him up. You won't regret it. He does a phenomenal job, always going above and beyond for his customers. And look, guys, all of their information, it's listed below. Hit them up. Tell them that Coach Clark sent you, and they have special deals for my listeners. Also, if you're looking to connect with me, hit me up on all social media at Coach_A_Clark. Or you can reach me on my website, www.coachaclark.com. However you decide to do it, I will reach out to you within 24 to 48 hours. And so this could be anything you're looking for as far as leadership development and training. It could be for you, your team, or it could be for an event you're hosting. Hit me up. I would love to be a part of that journey. And the man we're all here to learn about and talk with, get connected with, Morgan Allison. He's a licensed attorney. For the year of 23-24, he was the Rotary Club president for the Homa chapter. Works as a SCORE business mentor. Started his first business in his 20s, and currently is working as a commercial real estate professional. I'm super excited to learn more. Let's get connected with Morgan. And Morgan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Aaron, glad to be here, man.
Yeah, appreciate you hopping on. And so I know I just told the folks right now, you're in commercial real estate. So can you kind of explain what's the difference between commercial real estate and real estate?
Yeah, so, I mean, real estate is real estate, but the way it's usually broken down is residential. That's what people normally think of when you think of like a real estate agent,
Okay.
Someone who sells houses. It's like you go to them like you want to sell your house, you want to buy a new house, you want to move, that kind of thing. Commercial real estate is for businesses. So we're talking office space, retail centers, like if, you need a place to put your restaurant, or it's also residential for like large residentials. You're talking like apartment buildings. So, and the divide there, for some weird reason, I think the banks made it up, but the rule is if it's 4 units or less, like a fourplex or a duplex or something like that, is considered residential. 5 and more, it's commercial, and it's now you're in my world. So yeah, it's anything that makes money, you know.
Gotcha. So if I go buy a fourplex, I don't need to talk to Morgan.
No, happy
But
to
if I want
talk to you. I can still help you, but it's not commercial, but you know.
okay, so the biggest thing is like, so you would be looking more like if I was trying to they actually put some store frontage for the Clark Connection podcast or the Coach A. Clark Company or.
That's right. That's right. So it's basically two categories of people that I work with. One is like a business person who needs a place for their business. So, and they could be leasing or buying, you know, like you said, like a storefront, or if they're in manufacturing, I could find them a space to manufacture stuff. Or I also work with investors, and investors are going to look for things like apartment buildings or shopping malls, you know, strip malls, things like that. That's where it gets fun, man. I really like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's all fun. It's all good.
Yeah, well, and I bet that is kind of interesting, you know, trying to find somebody because, you know, a couple of our businesses are in like shopping malls or shopping strips. And so trying to find somebody who's willing to get rid of or sell that, because for the most part, the strips that we're in, they're real successful and busy, and that's a steady stream of income right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Although it's interesting how often those things change hands.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of times, especially when you're talking like apartment buildings, but to some extent strip malls and things like that too. They'll change hands about every 5 years, and that's because that's because people have an investment strategy. It's two things. One is the banks set their loans to balloon in 5 years, so it's like you got to refinance in 5 years, and so what a lot of investors will do is they'll basically design their entire thing to go in 5 years. So it's like you get together with some friends, let's buy this, fix it up, run it, and then 5 years we'll sell it, and then we'll have all this money to do stuff with. So yeah, they actually change hands surprisingly often.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that because was thinking, man, if I had all these different for people and you've got consistent renters rolling in, why would you want to get rid of it?
Yeah. Some people do. It's just, you know, different strategies. You know, they want to take that money, and because it's making a lot of money, it's worth a lot of money. You know, and that's another difference between residential and commercial. In residential, you look at, it's like, well, how much is this house worth? Well, you look at all the other houses that are like it, and you can kind of like, okay, well, other houses like this are worth. In commercial, what we do is, well, how much money does it make? You know, so the more money it makes, the more it's worth. You know, so
right.
Some people go in, okay, so now it's making a lot of money, so now it's worth a lot of money, so let's sell it and get a big chunk of change, and then go do something with that. So
yeah. Well, and that makes sense. Kind of like when I was talking with Matt that episode or so ago. Matt was talking, you know, when you're always building up, you should always be looking, what's the value of my business, so I can know, hey, is it going to sell? And so if it's bringing in a lot of money, the more value. So that makes a lot of sense. Why, right there. And I guess investors are always looking to flip stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I call, part of my job is I'll call people who own these things. You know, it's like I find people who own strip malls. I'm like, hey, you own the strip mall. You want to sell it? I've got someone who wants to buy it. And a lot of times, you know, there's like, their answer is, well, I'm a business person. Everything's for sale for the right price, you know? So it's just settling on the price, you know? So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was one my dad and grandfather always say is, you know, everything I have is for sale except my wife and kids. And I'm sure depending on the day, Dad might have sold me.
Right? Catch me on the right day, man. Catch me on a really bad day, maybe I'll pay you. You know?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's good. And so, and I like that you broke it down for us that a residential, so typical real estate that we think of is residential real estate versus like commercial real estate, looking to help business people find lease or buy, or investors with apartments, that mall, shopping centers, shopping strips, things of that nature. And so that helped clear it up for me. Um,
Yeah.
I never
And
realized the difference.
yeah, and I guess one I'm gonna complicate it a little bit more. Sometimes what we'll do is like, because some investors will buy a bunch of residential properties, and so they may have like 10 rent houses. Well, what we'll do is like if they want to retire or something, what we'll do is we'll pull all that together and call it a portfolio and sell it commercially. So it's like, hey, you want to buy this? You want to buy this 10 houses of whatever, and yeah, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. And now, are they all like in the same neighborhood, or is it like
No,
that
it
one
could be
over here,
wherever.
one over there?
Yeah, I saw one portfolio listed recently that had property like up in Shreveport and property here, and it was like there was like five different things that were just all over the place. The guy wanted to retire or something, probably.
Yeah. Man, I wouldn't want to Shreveport here, one over.
I know, right? Yeah.
Golly.
Some people do that though. They get that takes a special skill, but there are people who remote invest. They'll buy real estate out of state,
Hmm.
and that takes what you got to do is put together a really good team on the ground wherever it is that you're investing. You gotta have some rock star, contractors and people that you can really trust to handle stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people do that.
Yeah, that's what I was definitely thinking was, all right, so if I were to have a rent house or something in Shreveport, I would need somebody over there to manage that for me,
Yeah,
somebody to make sure that the grass is cut, somebody to make sure if something does break, who are we calling? Or is that going to be left up to the,
right, right.
the renter? So I was like,
Well,
man,
and I'll tell you, part of my plan, part of my long range plan is to get some investment properties in places where I want to go vacation, you know? So then every time I go on a vacation, it's a business expense, I got to go check on my property. So,
yeah. So you'd want to get one like here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, because where else
yeah.
would you want to go?
But I'm thinking Colorado,
Oh, that's a good
Colorado,
place.
something in Florida,
Okay.
change of pace, it's kind of,
Yeah, do like a little Airbnb or something.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like Airbnb. So when I go there, I got a place to stay. you know,
Right.
I can check things out. Definitely.
No, that's cool. That's cool. And so, what would you say is kind of like the coolest or most interesting uh, commercial real estate property that you've been to or seen, or maybe even dealing?
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of that I've been dealing with lately. One is a medical office,
Okay.
and the doctor had a thriving business, but he started having medical problems and he was retiring.
All right.
And it's a full blown medical clinic with examination rooms, X-ray room, conference rooms, offices, waiting area, all the whole nine yards. And then it also has separately, it has two other like office suites. One was set up as a pharmacy and all this. Really nice. The problem is it's in Plaquemine, so it's 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 a really awesome. It's not far from the hospital. It's like it's really nice, but it's like I'm trying to find a doctor. So it's like I'm shopping. It's like I'm calling doctors' offices and hospitals and stuff and asking them, and looking them up on LinkedIn, saying, "Hey, do you know any doctors who want to start a practice in Plaquemine? I can get them set up, that kind of thing." So that's pretty cool.
And so how much of your business would you say is the cold calling, or like you were saying, like, hey, who do you know that's looking to
Yeah.
buy an investment or start a business? Or
Yeah, about a quarter. I probably spend about 25% of my time, uh, either cold calling or door knocking. I'll go to an area. Hey, it's like, talk to them about their real estate, that kind of thing, or working on online and like LinkedIn, and so I use LinkedIn and Facebook.
okay,
But what I like about real estate, about commercial real estate, is the way things kind of link together. So it's like I get a listing, and then I'm trying to market that listing by calling people I think would want to buy it. And then I find people who was like, well, I don't want to buy that one, but maybe I want to buy something else. So then I got a new buyer, and then I try to find property to sell to them. So it kind of like ratchets up like that.
and so would you say that's a lot of what you're not necessarily just like, I mean, when I think the residential market or residential real estate, it's, hey, we put this up on this website, or you put the sign out in front of the yard or whatever. Whereas you're more of like, who can I particularly target? Like, I'm looking for specific individuals, not your rifle, not shotgun.
Right. We do both. In fact, we list properties on about 5 different websites. So like, the MLS, and then like a special commercial MLS, and then like 3 or 4 other special commercial sites that investors will look at, So we do that, and we put up signs, and we often put up like huge signs,
Right.
So sometimes you'll see these big, if there's a big property, you want a big sign, to kind of stand up. So we put up these like gigantic signs. This property is for sale,
They wanted the air waving arm guys.
No, I haven't done that. That would be cool though. No, but like an 8-foot tall sign, it's like
buy this property.
That's a good idea. I want to do that. It's like, land for sale.
Don't worry, that first one's free. The next one, definitely, I'll be sending a bill.
But a lot of it is I'll try to market it, like I said, like a rifle, because I'll target specific, maybe specific industries. So like with the doctor's office, I'll start calling doctor's offices and seeing or if I have like an industrial space, that's suitable for certain specific kinds of industry, then I'll target those industries, and I'll ask them things like, are you thinking about expanding your business? I've got a place that's just right for you, because this is exactly like the place you've already got. So if you want to open up a separate one, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, and just kind of think, because not saying I'm looking to buy a medical doctor facility, but do you even know, like, do you have to be a medical doctor to own a doctor's office?
No, we represent a number of investors who buy medical offices and rent them out, lease them to doctors. And it's a segment of the office, of the office property segment, which is, I mean, office property took a huge hit after COVID-19, right? I mean, there's especially downtown office space, man. Just buildings, everyone's working from home. No one needs office space, so it's like 50% vacancy in a lot of these buildings. But doctors' offices are, I mean, because doctors want to move into a place, set up their office, and they never want to leave, because all of their licensing and everything is tied to that address and everything. And
well, then you got to let all your patients know, and then if you move, do you have to get a new number?
Right. So they're excellent tenants, you know. So it's like, yeah, if you could have a doctor's office that you can put some doctors in it, you know, as tenants. Yeah, you got it. It's a good model. It's a good model. We've got a few people like that, a few
Yeah.
investors that we represent. That
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and guys, if you are enjoying this content so far, look, look down there, click that subscribe button, give us a like, a follow. That way we can continue to bring you more great content and great guests like Morgan. And so, Morgan,
yeah,
like kind of going back into you were talking about the building space empty after COVID. Now, are y'all seeing that kind of coming back on the uprise as far as that now that more people are returning to work?
yeah, it is. It is coming back. It's still like downtown space is still pretty rough. I've talked to bankers who say that commercial bankers who will tell me things like, well, we'll do a loan for any kind of property except for downtown office space. You know, but what's interesting is there's there's if you segment out office space into a couple of categories. We have like one is the big downtown buildings, and the other is like the suburban what they call like office gardens or office parks, where you have like a bunch of professionals, like where you'll find like, you know what I'm talking about, where you go in and there's like a bunch of little offices,
Mm-hmm.
parking areas, and there's like, a lawyer and an accountant and architect and whatnot.
Right. Like a lot of the offices on like Sherwood or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. Those offices do very well and are very stable and like high occupancy, low turnover. I mean, you got your medical offices, and you've got those are doing just fine. And so that's what. But downtown office is coming back a little bit. I mean, it's still got a long way to go, but there is. It looks like it's bottomed out and it's starting to come back.
Yeah, and so you said they got the downtown market, and you said like suburban building. Well, what was the third one?
Well, just those are the two main categories.
Oh, the two main. Okay.
But I also mentioned medical office, which is
Okay.
kind of a subcategory of the suburban whatever. So.
I was about to say, and they could turn all those downtown offices into medical offices.
Yeah.
What?
Well, actually, there is one tendency. So, one strategy of dealing with the downtown buildings is turning them into apartments. So there has been some move towards doing that. The problem is a lot of buildings you just can't really do that. And the reason is because it's like the layout's different. Like in an office building, all the plumbing and bathrooms and everything is all in the center.
I was just thinking that.
And for apartments, every apartment's got to have a window. Got to have windows for the got to have the plumbing. You got, but there are some conversions that they look at it and like, yeah, we can make this work.
Well, I mean, you could always just like they make it one big floor.
Yeah, if it's a smaller office building, yeah, you can kind of do that. Where like, okay, the whole floor is one apartment, or maybe two apartments or something like that. Yeah.
But I could see that being a little bit difficult too, like you were saying,
like the really big office buildings.
Yeah. Even just dividing it, like, all right, and this is going to be a room, because I'm not as familiar with down there, but I assume most of them are large open space cubicles.
Yeah, but they can be reconfigured pretty easily. That's actually something interesting I found about commercial leasing, is that often when you lease a property, commercial property, it's going to be in a form of what they call like a vanilla box, which means the space is just white and empty. And before you sign the lease, part of the lease agreement is that the landlord is going to reconfigure it for however you want it. So you can in your lease, your lease negotiations, you can say, well, I want this much space to be a waiting room. I want 3 offices over here, and they'll go in and they'll put up the walls and the doors and everything and get it all configured the way you want it.
That's pretty interesting. No, but that makes sense why you see all the signs lease to build in.
Yeah.
That's lease to build. Is that how they title that?
Build to suit.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, what's the word that I see on there?
Yeah. And the reason they can do that is that, like, here's another difference between the two is that, like, when you do a lease for a home, like an apartment or something, it's like a 1-year lease. When you lease, the kind of leases we're talking about are going to be like 2, 3, 5, 10 years, things like that, So, you're on the hook for 5 years or 10 years. It's like the landlord can say, yeah, I can afford to, like, spend a little money up front to get it set up the way you want it. Sure,
Right. And then I don't have to do anything else for 5 years.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's
and so
world, man.
Now, one thing that you also had mentioned that on your was that you're a licensed attorney. And so how does this help you out and give you an advantage over other commercial realtors?
Well, so the biggest way is that when it comes to leasing or purchasing a commercial property, the document that's going to be involved in that, either a lease agreement or a purchase agreement, is going to be a long, complicated legal document. So that's another difference between residential and commercial. Residential, everything is a pre-made form. Like when you buy a house, the agents are required to use this, like, fill in the blank form, so all the contracts are exactly alike. There's no surprises,
Right.
and it doesn't take any skill, really. A residential lease is going to be like 3 pages, 5 pages, maybe. Commercial lease, you're looking at a 40-page document, and it's completely unique. It's nothing, there's nothing cookie cutter about it.
Mm.
And so it helps to have some legal skill to be able to analyze, draft, and negotiate these. So I spent 20 years as a lawyer before getting into commercial real estate, and I did a lot of litigation. And litigation is really mostly about negotiation, because bottom line, no one wants to go to court. Court is a waste of time. So it's all about negotiating to keep people out of court. And so I bring a lot of those skills to bear, when we're talking commercial real estate. It's there's a lot of negotiation involved, and I think another thing that it gives me is the ability to kind of see a larger scope of things that can be negotiated. Because I mean, you can negotiate anything in commercial real estate, anything. Every term in that contract can be changed, can be adjusted. So we've got a lot of room to barter, to go back and forth. And but having a legal background helps me see those opportunities.
Yeah, and I could see where that would be fun and frustrating all at the same time, because all right, here I am with this 40-page document. Right. Here you go, Morgan. Oh, and by the way, I want to change all points on every page.
Yeah, it gets pretty intense. So there's a lot of back and forth, man. Now, part of the art of negotiation is not being too much of a,
I thought it's like what Teddy Roosevelt said: "He who has the biggest stick wins."
Well, no. What Teddy Roosevelt says is speak softly and carry a big stick. Speaking softly is the important part there. So it's like,
man, I just thought he was talking about hit him with a big stick. Gotta go relook my whole life now.
It's like, I want to be able to smile, be polite, let them know not to mess with me,
Hmm.
but as long as you don't mess with me, we can work out a deal. And let me tell you, this is my favorite part of real estate, of commercial real estate, any kind of real estate. When I was practicing law, um, everybody was miserable, everybody was unhappy, everybody lost. If you go to court, nobody wins, everybody loses, except for the lawyers. We win, but you know, but 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 it's a lose lose proposition, pretty much all the time. In real estate, it's win win, man. It's like, and everybody's happy, and everybody's hopeful and like positive and like moving forward, energetic. You know what I mean? That's what pumps me up. You know?
Right. No, and that makes sense because, and I could definitely see where that would be of huge advantage because I would think that a lot of these any commercial deal is probably going to have that the legal counsel looking at all of it as well, and so if
Mhm.
they go with the Morgan Allison, they just it's a one stop shop there.
Yeah. Although, okay, caveat, lawyer hat here for a second. When I'm acting as an agent, I am not your attorney. I'm not acting in a legal in officially as a lawyer, so I'm not giving legal advice. But I do have the legal training, and I am actually a lawyer, but I'm just not wearing that hat. So you can't sue me.
Well, what is it? I retract my statement.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I mean it's fair to say, and a lot of people will just trust their commercial agent rather than it's like, okay, got to send it to a lawyer too. I mean, we advise people to, it's like, I have to basically say, okay, I'm preparing this for you as your commercial agent. I'm not your attorney. I have to recommend that you have it looked over by your attorney. But that's an extra step. That's more time, more money. A lot of people will skip that, but so it does help, you know, but there's only so much I'm allowed to say as far as, I can't say, oh, you don't need a lawyer. I can do that for you. No, I can't do that.
Just add it into my bill.
Yeah,
Dang, I was trying, man.
I appreciate it. I
All
appreciate it.
right, but it makes sense. Like I would think if you're doing something that large, you're gonna want multiple sets of eyes on it, anyways. Um,
Hmm.
that's just wisdom right there. That having multiple people to run things through, see it, look, somebody's gonna miss something that somebody
Oh
else is
yeah.
gonna catch.
Oh yeah. And look, and I don't do it all myself. It's like when I'm going over documents, I have, it's like I work with a team. I work with Keller Williams, KW Commercial, and the director of commercial here is his name is David Vircher, and he is extremely experienced, extremely productive, and we work together. So it's like you've got at least two sets of eyes looking on everything. It's like I don't just do it myself. And when I was practicing law, I didn't either. I always had at least two sets of eyes looking over everything. So yeah, that's definitely an important step. Is you got to have multiple people looking at stuff.
Yeah, no, that's very smart, very smart. And so also I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit, but guys, if you hadn't went and found the Clark Connection podcast on Facebook and Instagram, go find me. Make sure you like and follow. You'll get all sorts of cool stuff on there as well. And so one of the things that I heard you say that throughout here, and I know as we've gotten to know each other and talking, that you love helping out the business owners, and that's kind of what got Morgan going.
That is
Talk a
is
little bit
indeed.
more about that, and what was it that got you moving in that step and direction?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I can really trace it back to when I started my first business. I was in my 20s, so this was like the early 90s, And I started my first business. I was not too long out of college, and I got in business with my sister, and we started a business that was a Medicaid funded business, and we
Okay.
we started it up. We had like 40 employees. It was a pretty big deal. It was
Wow.
in New Orleans, and at the time I didn't know anything about business, so it was like I assumed I needed to learn. I needed to learn everything I could, right? So I got every book I could on management, accounting, on how to run business, business law, and then I took like classes I took business law classes, and that kind of what attracted me is like business law is really cool. So it's like that's what I sold. So we sold the business, and and then I went to law school, and my original dream was to like do business law, and like especially for like entrepreneurs and small businesses. It's just the passion is contagious, man. I love being around business people. And I should also say another thing that I did when we started that business is we got a SCORE mentor. SCORE is a business mentoring program run by the SBA. So when you go get an SBA loan, they'll often refer you to SCORE. And so we had a SCORE mentor, and we had a session with this guy, and like in 20 minutes or so, he gifted us with such wisdom. He dropped so much gold on us, man. It really helped us. It's really helped shape us, and really I think is what kind of turned the tide for us and really made it successful.
Yeah.
So I really had a lot of respect for that, and was like, yeah, that's awesome. I want to do that someday. So I got into law school. My big dream help work with small businesses, right? Well, I opened up my practice in Homa, and I did that as a solo. And this is another thing. Coaching is really important. And let me, and this is why I opened up my own law practice, hung up my own shingle, went solo, thinking I knew everything. It's like,
Hold on. You didn't know everything when you did that?
I did not. They don't teach you much. Yeah, see, when you get out of law school, man, you don't know nothing, man. It's like, but I didn't know what I didn't know, and the smart thing to have done would be to have sought out a mentor, to like teamed up with a senior attorney somewhere, join a firm, something like that, where I could get some guidance and I could learn how things really work, and that would have saved me a lot of trouble. But so, I mean, the long story slightly shorter is I didn't end up doing much small business law. I ended up doing whatever came in and what paid the bills, and what paid the bills was like divorce and custody and slip and falls, just all kinds of just weird stuff, right? But I tried to market to small businesses, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't get that kind of business. 20 years later, I get into real estate, like as an investor. My idea was like, oh, okay, I'm going to retire from law and I'm just going to have real estate, passive income, yada, yada. But I got into commercial, got attracted to the commercial side. It's like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I joined SCORE and I became a mentor to other people. And so that's part of my passion is I love working with entrepreneurs, and I do it for free. I don't it's a volunteer thing. I volunteer to help people start their businesses. And then like once they get set up, and everything, it's like, well, you need a place to.
Do you need a place now that I got you?
Yeah. Actually, I should say, actually in SCORE, I'm not allowed to.
I know.
Work with my work with the people I've actually mentored, but with other people so it's kind of man, but I love it. I love it. It makes my job so. It's like my favorite clients are as a real estate agent are working with entrepreneurs just starting a business, and they need to lease a space, and I don't make much money from that, because they're leasing these little spaces or whatever. I mean, I don't know that I'm making minimum wage when I get paid for this. But I love it, man. I absolutely love it. It's very rewarding.
And you hit on, and I think it's important that you hit on that. You wish you'd have had the mentor. You wish you'd had the coach, because coming out of law school, you didn't know what you didn't know. And that's, one of the, and he was on the show. That was Drake, that one of the guys that I mentor and work with. And that was as he was coming out of law school and, going through and, help look through the resume, look for this, look for that, all right, did a lot of job prep and what have you. And finally, whenever the job he's currently at with Judge Shepard down in New Orleans, he was like, I don't know if I want to do this because I'm just a law clerk. Like, I'm not even really an attorney. And I was like, dude, you want to practice that, you want to litigate, you want to be in the courtroom, you want to, like, where else are you going to learn more?
Clerking for a judge, man, that is a great stepping stone.
Yeah. And I mean, just from what he's telling me, that, like, I can't wait till I actually get to meet her. Just how awesome she is, and coaching him through the process. And he was like, yeah, this has been a great thing, because I could have went and took another job with an actual firm that came after I told her I would join on, making double the amount of money, but I wouldn't know what I know. And I was like, that's why I wanted you to do that. I knew you were going to get so much more by going in with her. She was going to be able to teach you, no, this is why we want to do that way. So next time you get in there, you can go, all right, I know the judges are going to be looking for boom, 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 not this over here.
Right. It's that kind of experience it's a great great launch pad for a legal career, man. That's one of those things I didn't know that I wish. I wish I knew 20 years ago.
But that's something, that we all had to learn. We all had to, and if you can learn, I like to tell everybody, you can learn the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is for me to say, hey, Morgan didn't have a coach when he got started. And learn from Morgan's experience. That's the easy way. Yeah. Listen to Morgan when he says you need a coach. Or you can learn the hard way and do like Morgan did and don't get a coach.
You need a coach, because, man, it's like, and maybe more than one. I mean, you don't necessarily need just one coach. Have a different coach for different things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, and I mean, this is somewhat me. Like, guys, seriously, if you need a coach, hit me up. I would love to help you along your route. But like, I've got my own. I've got a sales coach. I've got a podcast coach. I have my mentor when it comes to my Faith Racers ministry. So I've got that mentor. I mean, and then, on top of having my dad. So just those four right there, they're just that it's huge, because I'll still talk to them about life in general because they want to see me succeed in life in general. Yeah. But I'm not going to go to my podcast coach about how do I increase my sales in my coaching business. Right. I talk to them about how do I improve my podcast and how do I become better as a podcaster and a podcast host. Same thing.
Yeah. And one thing I often do as a SCORE mentor is I try to tell I advise them to get, because like, I can help you with certain things, but there's a lot of things I can't help you with. Let me see if I can hook you up with the people who can help you on these specific things. Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I know one of people's fears about getting and working with the coach is like, how much is this going to cost? What's that? And I always pose the question, how much is it going to cost you not to do it? Like, I know one guy who's paying his personal coach that a whole lot more than I charge, because we were talking about it, and he was like, I'll never not pay him that amount of money to work with me every single month. Because yes, it's costing me that over $1,000 a month. But when I switched, I was only making about 50, 60 a year. That came on with him, and now I'm like mid six. So why would I not like? Yeah, if I give you $12,000 and I'm going to give you 600 that back. Why wouldn't I take that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like my law career was kind of stagnant for 20 years, man. It's like, I mean, just imagine how different things would have been if I had good mentorship at the beginning and throughout. It's like you're putting assigning a specific cost or specific price to coaching is like it's the wrong way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, all right, well, let's say you make your business brings in, $20,000 a month. All right. And it's like, well, this mentoring might cost $10,000 a month. So it's like, well, that's half my month. Well, yeah, but once you get it, then now you're making $100,000 a month. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
if the mentoring makes that kind of a difference,
well, and even look like absolutely love Michael Jordan. So about the time he started working with Tim Grover, I mean, I was still probably being carried around by my mother. But I always loved to hear it that Michael struggled in the NBA until he hired his own coach. Once he got his own coach, they started working on his strength training. He was able to look and go, yes, you are the best player in the NBA, but you're missing this. You're missing that. We need to do this. Just having that outside eye that's looking in, that's objective. It's not.
Yeah, sees the things that you can't see, and holds you accountable. It's like.
Yeah. And I'll tell people too, it's like, even though, so as the business owner, I love football, so recovering football coach, you're the head coach, you're on the field, but why does every single one of those coaches have those headsets on? It's not to talk to the guys that are on the field. If I want to talk to the guys that are on the field, I just walk over and go, hey, what are you seeing? It's because there's somebody hundreds of feet up there going, all right, guys, they're trying to move like this. They're trying to do that. You need to do this. That's what the mentor coach is. They're up here while you're on the ground making decisions.
Nice.
I'll say, man, I just came up with that right now.
Nice.
That's the second one I'm giving everybody for free. What? You're getting all sorts of gold nuggets today, guys.
Gold nuggets, man. Just spilling forth here.
So, as we're starting to wind down, Morgan, we talk about this all the time. It's one of the things I love to talk about. I believe all leaders are readers, but not all readers are leaders. What would be something that you would recommend to anybody who's a leader, they're looking to get into entrepreneurship, anything like that? What would you recommend that they read?
There are a lot of books, but one of them that stands out for me personally has been Getting Things Done, by David Allen, and I'll tell you why. A lot of self-help, productivity, those kinds of books are all about like mindset and philosophy and kind of like big picture, kind of woo-woo kind of stuff. This is nuts and bolts. All right. It skips all that stuff. It's like, this is how you actually do it. Step by step, here's the plan for organizing things, and for setting things up where you get things done, man. It's like, this is how you process. You get all these inputs, you process them, you generate your to-do list, you batch, it's like, it's, I come back to it every few years to reread it to like, oh, okay, I kind of forgot those principles, and I need to like brush up a bit.
Yeah. No, like the one for me is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's one that I tell
Classic.
everybody they have to read, and I read that one at least once a year.
Yeah, absolutely. Dale Carnegie rocks, man.
Yeah, and I'm not reading the modern one that came out in 2021 or whatever it is, the original one.
No, I tell you what, I'm a believer in like the older the book of advice is, the often the better, because if it survived, if it's lasted the time, it's like time tested in a big way. So Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon, those like books.
I hadn't read that one.
Check it out. Check it out. Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah, that's some good stuff.
Is that one kind of like The Greatest Salesman Ever? Is that one of those? Sounds like an Og Mandino book.
It was from what I remember, it was a series of like short stories that were published in a newspaper or something, or a magazine. I don't remember, in like 1910 or something like that. And it basically uses the setting of like ancient Babylon, and so it kind of explains money and finances and business savvy from like really simplified, it's like this is ancient times how things worked, but
I'll say these.
Richest Man in Babylon. I haven't read it in a while. I need to
couple of different ones.
All right, and check it out again. It's been a while since I've read it, but yeah, it was very formative for me.
Yeah, that sounded good. That's why I was like, ooh, I gotta add that one to the list to read.
Yeah, check it out. It's a fun read.
Yeah, but that definitely, because I'll tell, I kind of giggle at being the director of admissions. So, when people ask me like, what do you do? I'm like, I win friends and influence people. That's what I do. My job is to make friends and influence people.
Yeah. But like books, so there's like a lot of ways of learning things and like developing skills, picking up developing wisdom, and like receiving wisdom from others. And I think books are like one of the best ways to do that, because it's like condensed and distilled wisdom, that's so you waste a lot less time when you hit the books rather than like videos and articles and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, and then, so I mean, just pick like this one I have. I know I'm going to be reading it soon. Start with No. By Jim Camp. I was recommended that one by a friend, one of my mentors. But I mean, I don't even remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't that much. But I guarantee if I were to try to get a coaching session with Jim Camp, it's going to cost me at least $1,000 a session or more.
Yeah. And the guy spent probably a year putting that together, editing it, refining it, you know.
And it says, so I mean, on here it says it was $30. I know I didn't pay $30.
Yeah.
But I got his wisdom right here.
That, like, that like super condensed block of wisdom there you're holding in your hand. And, it's like, love it, man. I love books.
Yeah, they're absolutely phenomenal. I love it because I've heard you say that a bunch. The books, they're the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, it is. You're essentially getting pennies on the dollar of somebody's wisdom that they put into a form that you can keep forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, which is why I'm a bigger fan of the actual hard copy versus the electronic copy.
Yeah, me too. And this is worth noting. So, listen up. Here's my golden nugget, man. Is that studies have shown that your retention rate when you're reading from like an electronic device of some sort of Kindle reader or whatever is 30% less. Basically, you retain, your retention rate is 30%. 30% was like insane. 30% better when it's in an actual physical book. And I think the theory is that there's a big part of our brain that is involved in like spatial mapping and then relating information to spatial concepts. And
Interesting.
so when you have a physical object like a book, a lot of the memory of reading it is categorized in where things are in the book physically, you know. So that's why, like, when you remember like a passage from a book, it's like, oh yeah, and then you can kind of flip to the general area where it was, and generally like where on the pages it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that does make sense, because I know the very first. So one book that I physically have now that I originally read, like I got my first iPad that I ever got while I was
Mm-hmm.
coaching, mostly because I wanted to not have to carry around all the different coaching binders and everything. I knew I
Yeah.
could scan and put all that on there, but then to start reading. And so one that I remember more and can find stuff easier now that you say it is the Inner
Yeah.
Game of Tennis, which people think you're a football coach. Why are you reading the Inner Game of Tennis? Yeah, that Tim
A
Galloway
lot of
talks
people,
about how to get
yeah,
into the zone. Like he
yeah, yeah.
figured out how to get into the zone.
It's all the psychology. Yeah,
Oh,
sports. So much of sports is mindset, psychology. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. He does one
Um,
on the business world too. The Inner Game of Business.
yeah,
Phenomenal book.
yeah. But basically, I mean, Kindles and stuff are great for like reading fiction and just relaxing and stuff. But if you want to remember, want to retain the information, get it as a real book and write. Take physical, written,
Mm-hmm.
handwritten notes as you're reading it, and you're going to retain that information a lot better.
I was about to say, and I always recommend you use the Pilot G2. They have my favorite pen.
I used to
Best
use
pen in
that.
the world.
I used to use that. That used to be my favorite pen. My favorite pen now is like this 4-color ink, so I can like I like colorful, man. So it's like I want to write something, and then I was like circle it in red. I can flick it red.
Colorful. I mean, I've got red, I've got green, I got blue.
Yeah, the pilot. They have a nice feel to them. I do like.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
I'll say so. Yeah, Pilot, come join on board. Sponsor the
yes.
Coach Clark. And
Coach
then
Coach Clark podcast sponsored by Pilot.
Pilot G2. If you
G2.
don't use Pilot G2, well, refer to what Ricky Bobby said about Big Red Gum.
Oh man.
Now that we've completely gone off the rails. All right. So, what book are you currently reading, or maybe have just finished reading?
Yeah, so I'm reading the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Yeah, by Gary Keller. So I work with Keller and Williams. So this is Gary Keller of Keller and Williams, and Gary Keller he built this like small real estate firm, in Texas in a few years into the largest real estate company in the world.
Mm.
And that book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, is a blueprint on how to build a real estate business from nothing to $1 million a year, $1 million a year business.
Yeah.
It is a blueprint. It's like you follow this plan. That's where you're going to go.
Yeah. And I was trying to remember that because Keller Williams, I couldn't remember if it was the largest or the second largest.
Yeah, that's the biggest. I guess at one time it was the second largest, but no longer. Now it is number one.
Number one, baby.
Oh yeah.
So, cool. Well, Morgan, man, if people want to get in touch, if they want to reach out to you, they got to buy themselves some new property, units. I'm trying to think what I might need to get me a doctor's office or something. Somebody wants to buy a doctor's office.
Yeah.
How do they reach you?
Man. The best way is like just call me on the phone, text me. You can text me, call me, email me. You can look me up on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm there too. But the easiest way is just shoot me an email. I'd love to chat with you.
Absolutely. And guys, all of that information, it's listed below to be able to reach out and get in touch with Morgan. So Morgan, I appreciate you hopping on. It's been a blast So
It
we will
has.
definitely have to do this again.
It has. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you.
You bet.
Wow. Wasn't that an excellent episode? I tell you what, that Morgan had so much knowledge and wisdom and just insight into the commercial real estate world. I really enjoyed that conversation, and I hope you did as well. Couple of key takeaways that we have, and let me get that up on the screen for those of y'all that are watching. Look, he talked about the importance of understanding market trends and how essential that is for you as an investor. So if you want to be successful, you got to stay on top of those trends. Then next, he talked about the collaboration that leads to better outcomes, meaning the more people you work with, the better your outcomes can be. And, it's kind of like Andrew had said in another podcast, you don't have to have the best idea going into the room, but you need to get the best idea when you leave the room. That one that Morgan talked about, and a lot of our guests talk about, starting a business, it requires continuous learning. Now, if you go in thinking you know everything, you're going to struggle. The one that he also talked about was, mentorship and coaching. And, mentorship, that it can significantly impact your success, and that having a coach is essential for growth and accountability. And one of my favorites, books provide condensed wisdom and insight. It's such an awesome thing to think about because you're getting their wisdom for penny on the dollars. Also, if you're looking to get connected with me, so if you're looking for leadership, personal growth training, it could be for you, your team, event, reach out to me. I'd love to be able to help you and inspire you on your journey. All of my contact information, it is listed below. You can reach me on socials, via my website. It's all listed below. And remember, guys, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I will see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.